Wonder Tribe. We are back with another video today, and today we're going to talk about our 2026 New Year's resolution, one that I think we can all implement that is very easy. Well, not easy, but it doesn't take any extra work. It's just our mindset. And this resolution is being 100% honest. Let's call it radical honesty. So for 2026, that's what we're going with, radical honesty. Now, you guys might be wondering, why radical honesty out of all things? Well, because with radical honesty, it will allow us to become aware, which that awareness will allow us to go farther in this year for growth. So, things such as, are you being fully disciplined? Are you regulating your emotions? Are you someone who is doing everything that they say they're going to do when they're going to do it? You know, so many times we can get caught up in just these subtle lies that we make to ourselves. You know, we won't do something that we're supposed to do, and then we'll be like, okay, well, you know, maybe I can do it another time, and, you know, oh, like I deserve this break. But if we're radically honest, like if we're talking to someone else, giving them advice, we got to be a little bit more strict. We got to be a little bit more accountable, a little bit more disciplined, just because this radical truth will take us to places that we cannot go without it. So we got to be honest with ourselves. Are we going to become the best version of ourselves this year? Are we going to stop lying to ourselves and saying that we're good enough when we could do way more? And this is not to call people out, but this is just to show that we can do more. You know, in 2025, in my personal experience, I could have done way more as far as posting schedule, as far as my discipline, as far as my daily habits, things like reading, things like mindfulness meditation, things like working on my skills that I've been developing behind the scenes, things like, you know, showing up on time, and then just taking myself and giving myself an honest evaluation of where I'm at. Because what happens is that when we were kids, we were taught that it's okay to kind of, you know, white lie about some things. And honestly, that can carry over into adulthood. You know, we can say, you know what, I want to get a little bit stronger on my bench press. And then we could keep it at the same weight. And then we could kind of rationalize it in our head and be like, yeah, but, you know, I'm already in there, so that's good enough. When really we can take it a step further. That radical honesty look like, okay, I'm going to progressive overload this bench press so that I can get to that weight that I told myself I'm going to do. And then the beautiful thing about this mindset and this resolution is that even if you don't meet everything exactly how you want it, you're going to be freaking way farther than what you thought you were going to be in the first place. You know, my mentor used to always tell me, shoot for the moon, because you always land amongst the stars. If you don't shoot at all, you're gonna stay on the ground. So let's keep this in mind for 2026. Let's get things moving. Let's be honest with ourselves, and let's make this a year that is worth telling people about. Now let's talk about why the truth is so hard and why lying feels so comfortable. Right? We lie because we don't want to hurt other people's feelings, and we don't want to hurt our own feelings. You know, it could be very, very uncomfortable to tell yourself that you're not good enough at something, or you're not where you want to be yet. You know, we tend to like to rationalize everything and be like, oh, like, no, I'm good where I'm at. But sometimes that is good, a good mindset to have, but sometimes it can actually be destructive, because like I said, we can be at a point A when we could be farther at point B, and then C, and then D, but because we're not telling ourselves and having that self-accountability, we're stuck at A. And then when it comes to other people, you know, we might white lie to them and be like, oh, like, no, like telling people that, you know, something that's not true. It's just, we'll do that because instead of being honest with them, we will kind of like let them figure it out on their own, even though we have an opinion about what they're doing. So like even something very small, like say if like one of the homies come up to you and was like, oh man, like, hey Darian, does this look good on me? You know, I could be like honest and be like, nah, man, like it don't really look good, versus, oh no, yeah, you look cool, because I don't want to hurt his feelings and then let someone else tell him that the outfit ain't very flattering on my boy, you know? And then just more stuff like that, bro. Like when we just constantly do this, we get into the habit of just avoiding the steps of where we're trying to go and what we're trying to accomplish. You know, even with sports, you know, if I'm trying to get a scholarship and I'm not good enough, I don't want my coach and my parents telling me that you're good enough, telling me that I'm good enough to get to the next level when I still got a lot more work to put in. But if I had these people telling me the right things, or if I tell myself the right things, like, you know what, like I'm good, but I'm not good enough. And that's okay. You know, we're not always going to be perfect. Then I can start putting more work in. I can adjust my regimen to get to the next steps. I can be like, you know what, I'm good at this area, but I'm lacking in this area. So let me, you know, put more focus on this side. You know what I mean? But it takes that honesty. It takes that awareness. And that really that's why therapy is important, because you're allowing yourself to talk to someone who's giving you an unbiased opinion about yourself, who's giving you an unbiased opinion about your circumstances, you know, so that we can see things that we might not necessarily want to see in ourselves, or that we even see, period. So we gotta really just hone in on trying to be as unbiased with ourselves as possible, so we can really take ourselves to the next level, because we will all be thankful for it down the line. You know, sometimes it hurts when someone says you're not good enough. Sometimes it hurts when you say, you know what, I am being lazy, I am procrastinating, I am being avoidant. You know what I mean? Sometimes it does hurt, but at the end of the day, it's like that hurt is only going to last so long. But once you find out why it hurts, you can now adjust accordingly, versus walking around blind, or walking around, you know, intentionally blind. You know, so like I said, man, like 2026, let's be really honest with ourselves. And then the beautiful thing about being honest with yourself is that it's going to make you more likely to be honest with other people. It's going to make you more likely to be honest with, you know, the situations around you, because it's like practicing a habit. The more we do it, the more we're going to be able to, you know, do it to somebody else. And then those people are going to eventually love us in the long run, because we're actually going to like help them grow, instead of just letting them stay where they're at in a place that they don't necessarily want to be, you know? So again, 2026, radical honesty, self-accountability. Let's get to it. So another one that is very important, or a situation that is very important, is the I'm fine mindset. And this is one that I'm very guilty of. And just want to put a disclaimer out in this video. Like, I'm not talking to you guys from someone who is this perfect person. I'm talking to you guys from this person who also struggles with this radical honesty. So I want to just step on this journey together, you know? But the I'm fine mentality. So what do I mean by this? When someone asks you, hey Darian, how you doing? Oh, I'm fine. But am I really fine all the time? No. Sometimes I'm really sad. Sometimes I'm really angry. Sometimes I need a hug. Sometimes I need somebody to talk to. But as someone who's, you know, is uncomfortable with always reaching out for a helping hand, I'll always just revert to being like, yeah, I'm fine, you know, don't worry about me, like I'm good. So this is what I'm talking about with this radical honesty. So a big step for me, instead of saying, hey, I'm fine, sometimes I could be honest with how I'm feeling. Like, you know what, like I don't feel that great right now. Like, or I'm like, I am really sad about this situation, or I am really angry about this thing. So I'm going to take those steps accordingly and say, you know what, let me be more honest with myself, instead of trying to carry everything on my shoulders, when really that's going to be hurting me in the long run. Because if I'm honest, I can then figure out why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling, or, you know, I can reach out to people who can help me, you know, feel better. You know, obviously emotions are hard, but it's, you know, sometimes you got to sit in the mud with them, but it's way better to sit in the mud with somebody else that you love and care about, versus sitting in the mud by yourself. You know, we're social creatures. So let's get rid of this oh, like, I'm good when you're not good. Let's get rid of this, oh, like, I'm not sad when you really need when it's really a cry for help. You know, this could help us go a long way as far as our mental health, because then we could get professional help, we could get the social help that we really need and desire, instead of just acting like, we should have everything perfect. This radical honesty is important because it allows for awareness, and it allows us to be more vulnerable with ourselves and then with other people that we need so dearly in this lifetime. So let's get to it. No more I'm fine. No more lying to ourselves. And then even if you do lie to yourself, it's okay. I'm a firm believer of everything isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about taking those daily steps necessary even when you fall and mess up. So let's say you have a situation where you could be radically honest with yourself and you weren't. Don't beat yourself up about it. You know what I'm saying? Leave it in the past. You can't control it. And let's get better on the next try. And the next try. And the next try. And before you know it, we're going to have this thing all figured out. But again, it's not perfection, man. Not perfection. It's progress. Let's get a little bit better than we were in 2025 for 2026. And if we do that year by year, a little bit better, focus on the things that we can't control, man, we're going to look back and be like, bro, I came a long way. So, want to try it? Let me know what you think. Are you going to follow me with this New Year's resolution of radical honesty? If you are, give me a like, comment, and subscribe. Even if you aren't, give me a like, comment, and subscribe. Wonder Tribe, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you guys soon.